if you could pick one sponsor for this, for like the channel and everything, if you could pick one sponsor, who would it be?
An investor for Cox and Co. Um, well, I know my knee-jerk reaction previously was Nerf blasters, so Hasbro for Nerf
Yeah.
blasters, or a machining equipment, tooling or equipment manufacturer, preferably someone that makes CNC mills, milling machines, lathes, and 3D printers. Not that I think any companies like that exist, but
I think I would go for somebody who makes biscuits.
yeah.
And I would be happy to initially just be paid in biscuits.
You need to hit up that guy from The Only Way is Essex, who's the heir to the McVitie's fortune.
Is he? I mean, I don't know what guy you're talking about, but is that a thing?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna jump into the meeting now. I'm gonna start the meeting if that's okay with all those in attendance.
I think that's a good idea before I go
Uh,
off on sorry, Made in Chelsea.
oh, sorry. The
Very
the
different.
other the other quality television show. Um, well,
I mean, let's face it, the
uh,
people in The Only Way is Essex probably wish they were the people in Made in Chelsea.
I don't know. I think it's two different kinds of rich, isn't it? I think you like your own kind of
Old
rich,
money
don't you?
versus new money.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's McVitie's fortune versus, I don't know,
Tanning
flavored lube
salon.
fortune. Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, I'll
my
just dive straight
apologies.
in with the greeting. Good afternoon, Howard, sir. How are you doing?
Hi, Chris. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I am also good. Thank you for a swift and productive greeting. I'll tick that straight away. So we'll go through the agenda. Nice, easy agenda today. We've got banter to start with, followed by what are you doing? What am I doing? And any other business. So we
Sounds
will
good.
go straight in. I'll put another tick next to agenda, and we will go straight into the banter. Do you have any items of banter for this week, sir?
Did you see that ludicrous display last night?
Do you have any other items of banter for this week?
Yeah, so obviously we've been watching, keeping up with WandaVision. So the most recent one, I think it was episode 4. I liked it. I liked it still, but I was a little bit disappointed that it was like back in the real world now, so to say, with basically no WandaVision.
I think
Um,
it that episode flew by for me.
y-
Like I got to the end and I was just like, no, no, I need more. No, I need more now,
yeah,
please.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I know, I don't know, I know it's a big franchise, but I'm like, oh, of course they just pull in a character who's already been in something else. Oh, and now they have to tie it into the grander, like everything has to be completely intertwined. It can't just be like this is part of the universe, but it's an interesting story with it, with some other characters. It's like everything's this like spider's web
Mm.
of. I'm just like, okay, maybe like that just feels too coincidental. It gets to a point where it's like, okay.
But maybe it's a
Um,
bit like maybe it's a bit sort of nepotism like, if you're a relative of someone who knows an Avenger, you're obviously going to end up in their circle because
I suppose. I suppose. I suppose.
we
See,
should we
if
should
if
discuss that more because I like that. I just I kind of when it ended up being when she ended up being who she was, I was suddenly like, oh, I liked it. I was like, that's quite cool that that's who she is.
I'll be honest, I was like, oh, okay, right. The same with the scientists. There's the 4 scientists, one of which is you've seen before, and it's
Yes, yeah.
like, and then it's like, oh, of course they suddenly make some breakthrough. If I was the one making it, maybe I'm just a bit contrarian about this stuff. If I was making it, I'd be like, here's the scientist and you recognize from before. off they go. Oh, look, one of the other ones made the breakthrough. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
Yeah.
I know you're following characters in a story because they're the ones who have the story that's worth following. But at the same time, it's like, and that's my biggest gripe about the big franchises like Marvel and Star Wars and whatnot, is it's like, it's not just like one hero who always wins. It's about 100 different hero characters now who always win and are always the ones doing the important things, and it's just a bit like, okay.
But that's
But
that was
that's
what
what
was
they
very
are,
good
isn't it?
about that was what was very good about Infinity War, was that they didn't win,
Yes,
and
exactly,
that's what
exactly.
that is actually what I quite
A
like
real
about this, is that
challenge.
at the moment Wanda is, we still don't really know whether Wanda is the hero or the villain or just
Yes,
somewhere
you're
in the middle.
right.
So
Yes,
we're
and
not winning at the moment. We're sort of
uh,
like
yeah,
developing a
yeah,
problem.
yeah. I know what you mean. And the ending, I really liked when they jumped back into the WandaVision bit and they
Mm.
that closing bit. I really liked that. That was good. It was actual like character development rather than just here's someone you knew before who's going to appear and progress plot with major development.
I think we should discuss this more, but not on
Yes.
company time. So
Okay. Yes. You're right. Yeah.
I'm going to
Fair.
put a
Okay.
tick
Fair enough.
next to banter, and
Okay.
I'm going
Okay.
to move right on to the next item on the agenda, which is, what are you doing?
Well, Chris, this week I have been making use of my recently upgraded printer,
Hmm.
3D printer. I got to the point where I was kind of like, I could go to the nth degree, but I realised what frustrates me is when I spend more time working on it and upgrading it and improving it than I am actually using it. So I thought I've done one step of
Yeah.
improvements, and I could maximize those, but right now I just want to get some use out of it. So I can't remember if we showed some pictures or renders of the Nerf Blaster project I'm working on, but I basically got to the point where I've done so many cycles of like, let's do some design, and I've designed the full model, and I've spent a lot of time doing a few loops on that, getting it in an actually like buildable condition. That I kind of got to the point where I'm like, right, I'm just going to pull the trigger. I know it's like 90% there, and I'm just going to start printing stuff.
Okay.
And I'd already, in fact, so that was the key thing, was um, this, and with some calculations, I'd already used this to actually make I know it works, fundamentally will work because I've got this that and I already did some stuff inside and did a couple of versions of this to adjust the
Hmm.
spring compression. So I know it'll work, as this will whenever this makes an appearance on camera.
Oh.
That's quite loud when it's right near your ear. That one went behind the TV, and now Riddick is very interested in what that was doing. I know it will work, so I got to like I could spend forever, designing, doing more and more tweaks to it in CAD. But I thought, you know what, it's 90% there, so I'm going to start printing bits.
Mm.
But I also got a little bit carried away. Um,
Okay.
so I did it. I printed I got some improved settings on my benchy boats. So this one's
Hmm.
printed a lot better. And then I think after I printed this one, I actually took my filament off and dried it out in the oven because I think the plastic filaments are hygroscopic, so they absorb moisture out of the air. Most
Okay.
plastics are actually hygroscopic. Um, it got to a point where it was like you could hear it crackling as it printed, which means there's water, bubbles of steam where the water is boiling out.
Yeah.
So that was one I got improved, and then I got a little bit carried away because I suddenly realised after I'd printed a few of these things, the first thing was I started printing the pieces for the shell. So I'll do I won't spend ages holding up to the camera. I'll take some pictures again and send them. So, but that's the base of the shell.
Okay.
This is zero point 0.4 of a millimeter oversized, so that I can have some material to clean it back and make it smooth, because that's the spigots that the rocket will sit on.
Yeah.
And it's so that'll need cleaning up, and I'll make a jig so it has to go in the bore of it to do it on my lathe, I reckon. And then that sits inside, and it will all glue together. But that's the shell that will house a rocket inside. I can't hold it up
That's
because
that's pretty.
it falls apart. But I was quite pleased.
Yeah, that's
But at
pretty
the
cool
same
that you've now
time,
got something like. Yeah, you've got a thing now, which
yes,
is quite cool.
it printed pretty nicely, but um, it was just a little bit undersized. So the parts I printed for this were a snap fit. So
Mm.
literally the cap, it popped in, and I just put some glue on it with a weight to hold it in place. Perfect. Yeah. Some plastic cement. This one though was a little bit loose, not a snap fit. Like you could glue it, just not quite satisfied with it though. Um,
Okay.
so
Why do you think that is?
well, I'll explain why. But I also, by the time I realised why that might be, I had already made files and G codes files to put in the printer that will basically printed whole sections of the blaster over
Okay.
quite a few hours at a time. And one of them was the first thing I did, and what my next step is building the frame of the blaster. And I'll try and share some pictures of it. That will house the everything else, and will be made with tubing. But I was already printing that, and I realised one of the things I did, and was from advice on a YouTube video, was when I first got this, was I calibrated the extruder by measuring the amount of filament, telling it to extrude a certain distance of that filament, and then measuring how much it actually extrudes.
Okay.
And it's less than what it thinks. So you'll tell it to extrude, 100 millimeters, and it would have actually done like 90 something millimeters.
Okay.
I've obviously updated the firmware for the auto bed leveling since I did that.
Yeah.
So it was under extruding slightly. And then the other thing, so that was why it's loose. So all of these parts, I'll show you in a minute, are probably similarly under extruded, though I haven't gone and checked them, but I won't be able to really check them until I do some hand cut, some pipe, some tubing. The other one is you can calibrate the flow in the software when you create the G code, which is the instructions to the machine, and that was a little bit lower. I rechecked that and made it so instead of being a little bit under, it's a little bit over nominal. So what you can do is you can print a known thickness, and then you measure it, and you know how much basically it's just two passes of the nozzle, the wall, and you measure it. I haven't got it to hand, but there's a little cube. I have got it to hand. This so there's a calibration cube thing. So
Yeah.
you measure the walls, and they should be zero point 0.8 millimeters thick, and then you can use that to calibrate your flow. So I rechecked that. So the next stuff I print should be better. But basically, I have a selection of things now. So this, though it doesn't really look like much, will make up the muzzle of the
Mhm.
blaster. So the shell, when it comes in, will come and sit in like that.
Okay.
Um, and it will sit in the bottom like that, and it will hook. Then this is what I've been calling the breech face, and that will sit like that. So it has some angles, and you can't really see them. It's hard to see them. That will allow clearance for the shell to lift out.
Okay.
Um, and then they all printed pretty well, bar a couple of pieces. This will I call it the receiver. Basically, the handle will fit in, and this I'm just throwing parts everywhere now. This is the dimensions have changed slightly. So basically, this will be in the frame, and you see it's got some holes which have threads in them that will need cleaning up. But this will receive the handle
Okay.
and will bolt up. Yeah, and then there's a few other bits, some covers that will glue on the side. This is the rail that the pump grip will go slide along to prime it. Unfortunately, the top's good. I added support material, but it actually the supports didn't print properly, so they weren't there, and then it printed fine without them. But also, I don't know if you can see it, but it came off the bed slightly, so it's a bit warped and won't really be usable. So that's a bit of a shame.
Okay.
But actually, overall, the stuff printed pretty well for the ASA. The other one
Oh,
is
that's
for
good.
this. I printed it lengthways, so I printed it in that orientation because that means the layers will be in the direction that you're sliding,
Yeah.
which will be a bit better. But the truth is, the pump grip I will probably print vertically. And also, if I print this vertically, it will have no overhangs. So it won't be quite as robust because you'll have the layer adhesion is normally the weakest.
Mm.
Um, but that's one way of getting around some of the print issues as well. So we'll see. But yeah, that's mostly what I've been working on. And I also got, because I ran out of PLA, I've got a new filament of fluorescent green PLA, which I'll use to print some of
Lovely.
the parts to finish off the printer modifications. So I need to relocate the power supply and one of the covers, the fan on one of the covers, because they don't work with the modifications. But yeah.
That sounds like a thoroughly productive week of
That
progression with getting some stuff done.
yeah, that was last week doing a lot of I think the prepping the software and the models, converting them into an STL file so I could put them in the software to then print them. And then it was Friday afternoon. I think I did the bulk of Friday afternoon, evening. I did the bulk of that. So.
I'll move on then. I'll put a tick
Mhm.
next to that and move on to what have I been doing. So, not a huge amount this week. It's been another slow week.
Mhm.
I've been doing a few things that I can't talk about, but I should be able to talk about next week.
Yeah.
Just to
Okay.
leave some suspense
Interesting.
hanging in there. But I'll be able to talk about those next week. So the only thing that I did want to talk about was part of the videos that I've been doing. One of the, I say series, there's two of them with a similar name. One that's out at the moment, one that at time of filming is not, but at time of release probably will be,
Mm.
which are called Weird Things Happen in Lockdown. So you've seen both of these. They're both
I've seen
normally
I've,
the dog doing
oh
something
yes,
odd.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
So there's two things that I need to do.
Mhm.
Thing number one is I need to come up with a third idea. And thing number two is that this monstrosity around my face and chin needs to go. So there's
I
got to
wouldn't
be
call
some
it a
way I can
monstrosity.
combine it. You wouldn't call it a monstrosity.
No.
Clearly my camera quality has gone. So I need to. I thought it's a wasted opportunity to not see if there's an idea there,
Mhm.
but I'm really struggling to think of something that would work. So I thought I would put the question to you as part of my section. Any ideas?
The trouble is, the only stuff I'm thinking of right now is because other people have done it already. of
Yeah,
like,
that's what I wanted to avoid.
partial shaving or
Yeah, stop motion type things. Like there's lots of that.
yeah,
The initial thoughts that I had were that because the dog has been the main focus of the other ones,
yeah.
is that somehow, in some way, shape, or form, I'm either being blackmailed or forced to do it by the dog. Um,
That's yeah. That sounds like quite a good one to me.
so maybe it's just sort of fine tuning that, but I'm struggling to think of a good setting for it, a good like premise for it. You know, like why would he be like I have to make sure I don't overthink it, but why is he blackmailing me? What is he blackmailing me for, and why do I give in and shave? I haven't got those bits yet.
Something along the lines that you can't both have beards,
See, that's not a bad
and
shout.
clearly his is too glorious to be shaved off, and
It
that would
is a
just be animal
spectacular
cruelty.
beard. It is a
Yeah,
very good beard.
yeah.
I will insert a picture of his beard because it is a very good beard. That's not a bad shout. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to just write beard envy.
Yes, yeah.
Beard envy.
I was going to say you could do it so that maybe he thinks you're trying to mock him for by growing your own attempt at a beard.
That's not a bad shout.
It'd
See,
be
this
tricky to pull
stuff.
off how it would make sense, but
Well, ideally what I need. This is going to sound really weird. I need a dog paw. I need a dog paw so that I could
you
like
can do
have
yeah
yeah. So I could almost like have the camera
on a
and have the
stick.
dog
Yeah.
paw. Yeah. Because I had thought that I had one idea that it starts with me coming into the house and Stephen's like sat at the dinner table, and there's like candles and a meal, and I'm essentially invited to join him in a very menacing mafia style dinner. Um, when the sort of reason for shaving could crop up, and I could be casually eating and then pass out because he's drugged the food. Um, but then it's the shots after that of a passed out me and a paw coming up and with a razor that would
Yeah.
be more difficult. I'm gonna tick that as that's it for me. That's all I've been sort of
Okay.
up to this week. Another quiet week. I'll have a lot more to talk about next week under my section as part of
Quiet
the
but
what I can't
creative,
talk about this week. Well, yes, yeah, that's true.
because
That's true.
boredom breeds creativity.
So we'll jump straight in to any other business. Do you have any other business?
um. Oh, I actually did some more walking. Um.
Very nice.
Uh. I went for a walk with my bubble. So yeah, but I'm still behind target. And Riddick got a bit of a paw injury, so letting that
Oh,
heal up. Yeah, he like grazed his pad. So I don't want to go walking him loads on the gritted, salty pavements. So I want to let that heal up, but it's kind of destroyed my own motivations to go for walks as well. I could be going for walks or bike rides when he's on limited exercise himself, but that hasn't happened apart from when the bubble came to visit. So yeah, but it's nice to go out for a wander.
very nice. I
Yeah,
had one other point for any other business,
go on.
which was around something we haven't covered this week, which was around Taylor Talk.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we already agreed it's on a. It's got to be natural. You can't force
It's got to
it.
be
So
natural.
if you've got something,
So you mentioned I think it was when we first thought about Taylor Talk. You mentioned how there are people that do like listen, sort of almost like listen along review type things.
yes,
Um,
yeah.
and uh, and I can't remember why. I think we were out walking the dog, and for some reason we were talking about Taylor Swift. You know,
Mm.
as you do. And
As most
uh,
conversations converge upon.
most
Yeah.
yeah, and I couldn't get it out of my mind. But and I thought I thought we should just do one. Let's just pick. It doesn't have to be an album. Could be 3 or 4 songs. Could be quite short, and let's just do it. What I'm not sure about is, so I listened to a couple of the Scrubs watch along podcasts that you recommended.
Real Friends, Fake Doctors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really enjoyed most of it. There were some bits that I started to get a bit. I think Zach Braff started to get on my nerves a bit, and I don't really know why. But most of the time
I could understand that. I can understand that. There's times where they get a little bit Hollywood.
Yeah, and those bits started to frustrate me a bit, but generally it was fine.
Yeah.
And they watch along, but you don't see any of it.
No, they just talk about it. Yeah.
So I wasn't sure whether a listen along would work best, listening along and just talking over it, or whether it would work better to have it quietly in the background. But if it was quietly in the background, I don't know how you do that, because obviously we don't own Taylor Swift songs, but we're also not making any money off it. So
that's a good point.
Maybe something for us to look into, but I wasn't sure like how the best way to do it would be.
So I would say for a song, you could listen along to it. Because on the Scrubs one, they don't even watch it. They've watched it previously and made notes, and they're talking through the episode. So we could do that. Now, obviously, if we're not making any money off of it, that's fine. But I don't know, maybe I'm being paranoid, but I feel like I would still want to avoid putting things up that could get flagged on the
nobody
channel.
wants to infringe any copyright stuff. So it could be that we have a very short series where we literally we start at album 1, we listen to it beforehand, we talk about it for like 5 minutes, and then we stop and we just do very short, snappy videos.
Yes, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Because I was thinking, even if you listen to or have some of it in that should be protected under fair use, because it's like reviewing or parody, or there's multiple things that allow you to use something still, if it's within these realms of fair use. But the internet doesn't care about, because they will just copyright strike you anyway, and it doesn't matter, even if you're using things under the realms of fair use. Yeah.
I don't want to annoy Taylor. I don't want to get on her bad side.
No.
So.
No. Well, we know what that can end up like if you know the songs. So.
We do. That's true. Anyway, I think that's a point for us to. That's a point for us to take offline. I'm going to take any other business off. I'm going to send out a congratulations to all those involved in today's meeting. I think we've done the best so far for keeping on track. So well done all. And
well chaired. Well done to the chairman.
Thank you. I think I've been practicing in the mirror, which is why I'm in there for half an hour. There's
and not a minute.
There was another thing. I'll be honest. It's been a mind-melting week, so I can't remember whether I had given you the relative paperwork.
I was going to say I know one other thing.
So where did we stand? Because I think I've got lost with it.
Well, I can definitely remember you hadn't done what you were supposed to last week. But if I'm totally honest, I wouldn't know if you had done it this week or not, because I haven't got round to checking.
Right, I'll put that next to the To Take Offline Taylor Talk, the certified.
I've certainly not had any notifications of it, but then again, you've been doing it on paper, despite being a paperless company, so
that's part of the problem.
You haven't told me it's ready.
Okay, I will review the like and subscribe memo to try and digitize and get it over to you.
Thank you.
As soon as possible.
Maybe we should look at getting assistance if You can't manage.
Somebody to do that for me would be so helpful. If somebody could do the like and subscribe memo for me so that I don't have to do it, that
I mean,
would
what's
be really helpful.
Stephen doing? What's Stephen doing? Like,
He's got a annual
I think you
review
need to
next
have
week
words
because
with him.
I'm not happy with his performance. I'm not.